Hey guys, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home, and today we're going to take a look at a John Carpenter classic in 4K. We're going to review the 4K Blu-ray of They Live. So I have a couple things I want to talk about with this new 4K set that I just bought, and then I'll dive right into the review. So They Live and Prince of Darkness, two 4K movies coming from Scream Factory that are both John Carpenter movies. They're coming to 4K very shortly in early 2021. But what I did was I actually went out and I found this on Amazon. This is a 4-film set, and this has Escape from New York, Prince of Darkness, They Live, and The Fog. So it's got 4 John Carpenter movies, and only 2 of these were being released in the US on 4K as of my purchase. So the reason I got these is because the price, it was $50. I could get all 4 movies, and these are the same exact 4K transfers that are being used on the Scream Factory releases. So even though this is not the exact same release that is coming to the US, this is the same transfer, 4K remastered, Dolby Vision HDR. Everything is the same here. There's one minor difference in audio that I'll talk about. But I just wanted to make that clear. This is going to be the same picture that you get when you pick up either the US release. This happens to be one from Australia. They're all from StudioCanal's 4K remasters of all these John Carpenter classics. So just wanted to make that clear before we start. So They Live is from 1988. Stars Keith David, who was in The Thing, and Roddy Piper, WWF, now WWE wrestler. And John Carpenter directed, did the music, wrote this movie, and it's based on a short story. So it's a fun movie. It's cheesy. It's a cheeseball, goofy 80s sci-fi action movie, but it's a lot of fun, and I love John Carpenter stuff. So I was really excited to hear that this was getting a 4K remaster and being released basically across the world. So I thought the picture quality was really good. And this 4K image, especially with the Dolby Vision HDR, is a much improved image. The detail is not the biggest area of improvement because the movie itself, like the source of this movie, has a lot of really soft or out of focus moments. It has some wonky stuff going on. When the movie looks good and when it was shot really well and when the source is quality, the 4K image on this looks incredible, and the Dolby Vision HDR really gives it a nice pop. Now you'll see in some of the screenshots that, skin tone's pretty lifelike. A lot of the colors really pop off the screen, the bright primary colors especially, but you'll also notice that it does a really good job with the black and the black levels. Here's one screenshot here that is almost purely black, but you can see how that really meshes well. You don't get any sort of flashlighting or any sort of grayish black. You get a really pure black in this picture, this night sequence. And then in the black and white scenes, which are spread throughout the movie whenever they're viewing through their sunglasses, that allows them to see, the creatures and They Live, the aliens, that is really important because black and white can be tricky. Contrast is especially important, and that's where Dolby Vision and HDR overall really helps. You can see here in these screenshots that it did, this transfer handled those very well, and I was very pleased with it. So for me, the biggest upgrade clearly is the Dolby Vision HDR. You do get some nicer detail, but it depends on the source. So there's going to be moments here where you may look at it. Here's one screenshot where both Keith David and Roddy Piper's characters are completely out of focus, even though they're supposed to be front and center in this scene. That's not the transfer. That's just the movie. That's just the softness. That's somebody, whoever was shooting the movie, didn't get this scene in focus. It wasn't the purest source. That's not on the transfer though. That's on the movie itself, and you're going to see that kind of variance throughout. It wasn't a high budget, high production quality movie. It was shot by, John Carpenter's own production team. He kind of broke off and did his own thing for this movie. And so, that's how it was done. It's not super high budget, and you're going to see sort of differences in the source quality. But like I said, when it's good, it's really, really good, and it's a nice leap in improvement over the Blu-ray. So I think you'll be really happy with it. Now on the audio side of this is where it differs a tiny bit from what we're getting from Shout Factory and Scream Factory. So They Live in this set from StudioCanal, whether you get it from the UK, from France, from Australia, wherever you import it from, if it's not the Scream Factory version, you have two options. You've got a 2.0 DTS HD, which is probably the most faithful to the source, and then you have the new 5.1 DTS HD track, which was also available on the previous Blu-ray from Scream Factory, which is a very good track and there's nothing wrong with it. Now, the one thing the Scream Factory release that's coming out adds is a Dolby Atmos track. So you don't get that here on the StudioCanal releases overseas. If you import them, you're missing out on the Atmos. But let me tell you, the 5.1 DTS HD track on They Live is very, very good. It's dialogue heavy, this movie, and it has, you know, that iconic, you know, John Carpenter sound to it with the sound mix. And it's a really good sound mix. Like, the 5.1 has no issues. I wasn't really lacking for anything because this isn't a huge budget blockbuster movie. This isn't a Godzilla. This isn't a Saving Private Ryan. This isn't something that has that massive sound space. So that's why I personally made the decision. I don't need Atmos. I'm going to go with getting all 4 movies right now on 4K because I want to enjoy them and I love John Carpenter. And I can sacrifice that Atmos for the 5.1. And I really don't think I'm going to regret that decision. Otherwise, this is exactly the same as the Scream Factory release that's coming out. There is one other serious consideration to make when it comes to sort of these overseas sets, and this one in particular versus Scream Factory, and that is your packaging and your special features. So obviously the Scream Factory packaging will be different for They Live versus this set where it's a 4-in-1. You also have some steelbook options overseas. There's a lot of interesting ways that you can get this movie on 4K, and remember, all 4K movies are region free. So whether you live in the United States or Antarctica or Australia or Brazil or Italy, you can buy a 4K disc from anywhere and play it on your player with no issues. So that's something to just keep in mind that I should note here. But the one thing is the Scream Factory release comes with that extra Blu-ray bonus disc, which has a bunch of special features. Now, it doesn't look like any of them are new, according to the Scream Factory website, and so that's why I didn't mind, because I have all of these movies, Scream Factory's Blu-ray releases already. I have The Fog, Prince of Darkness, They Live, and Escape from New York. So I didn't really need the extra bonus disc, and so $50 for this set. I don't mind the packaging. A 4-in-1 collection is always nice. Saves room in the collection in the movie room anyway. So $50 for that set versus $28 a piece for They Live and Prince of Darkness. 4 movies for $50, 2 movies for $56. I went with 4 movies for $50, and I'll just, if I ever want to see those extras again, I still have the Blu-ray discs to do that. But that is something you may want to consider if you don't already own those Blu-rays. This is a pretty bare bones, it's just a 4K release, it's just a 4K disc, so you're not getting any of those extras, you're not getting that packaging, and you're certainly not getting any of the special editions or limited editions that Scream Factory may offer. So overall, I'm really happy with They Live. That was the first one I checked out. I do want to check out Escape from New York next. I know a lot of people voted for that and they wanted that to be the first one I did, but I wanted to do They Live because it is coming out in the US very soon. So I wanted to let all my US viewers out there know whether this is a good purchase if they're buying from Scream Factory. I'll leave a link to this set. It's gonna be kind of hard to find. You may have to jump around on Amazon. I actually found it on Amazon US from somebody who was importing it, must have listed it on Amazon US, but you're more likely to find these releases in the UK, somewhere else in Europe, maybe the Amazon France or Amazon Italy site. If you can find them from Australia, JB Hi-Fi, if you're in Australia or don't mind waiting for shipping, you should be able to get these from there as well. So they're floating around all over the place. And then of course, if you're in the US, you'll be able to get They Live and Prince of Darkness, although The Fog and Escape from New York have not been announced as of yet for a US release. So you're still going to be waiting on those two. So overall, They Live, I would give this I would give it about a 3.5, 4 out of 5 for overall quality. Maybe say a 3.75, but that is mostly because of the source. If it wasn't so up and down throughout the picture, like I said, where it shines, it's really, really good. It's a sharp, clean, well-colored 4K image. but when it dips in quality, you see some softness, you see a lot of the grain sort of becomes overwhelming. So it has its issues, but again, the transfer is not the issue, it's the source, it's the movie itself. And this is by far the best that They Live has ever looked on any home media. And that's all I can really ask for when I upgrade to 4K. Is this the best looking version available? And I say yes, absolutely. And the Dolby Vision HDR is the major reason why. So I would recommend it. If you can find this set, I would recommend that. If you ordered from Scream Factory, that's fine. Maybe you have some of the overseas steelbooks. Any release where you can get this StudioCanal 4K remaster is going to be worth it, in my opinion. So go out and find that. I'll leave as many links as I can to help you guys out. But that's about it for the review. So thank you for watching. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok now. Follow me there for short form videos. Also, make sure you subscribe and have your notifications on so you know when the latest videos go live. But other than that, I appreciate you all watching. Thank you for coming out for this video. I'll be covering the rest of these, Escape from New York, The Fog, and Prince of Darkness, very soon as I get to them. So stay tuned for those. And that's about it. So have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.